which the nafs loves. So what is the reality of the internet? The reality of the internet is it is a conglomeration of all the law, right? Vanity, love, which is useless things, and sins that a human being can think of, that they are given access to with the shade of privacy. With the shade of privacy. There's not a person, right, who could, if you look at that history, right, every kid in America knows how to delete their history. Right? You can delete that history on the internet browser. You can delete the history on Kiram and Katibin. Right? That history is just, it's indelible. It's already there. But everyone knows, that, how to do that. But why do they do that? Because they're ashamed. They're ashamed about the things that they do and the things that they say. People go into different chat rooms and pretend to be people that they're not, and they would never want anyone to find out what they were and what they said and what they were doing. And we know from hadith that what is sin? مَحَاكَ فِي صَدْرِكَ وَكَرِهَ أَن يَطَّلِعَ عَلَيْهِ النَّاسِ أَوْ كَمَا قَالَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. That sin is that thing that, it makes you, unsettles your own heart, and you don't like people to find out. And that is the very nature of the internet. Right? That's the secret of the internet that no one finds out. That's why people can spend 5 hours, 6 hours, 10 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours on end on the internet, and they spend it in their room, locked up, no one can see them. Right? It's like this veil that they put around themselves, and they feel safe. People feel safe, and they can engage in any sin. Look, in times past, we just came from the haram, right? If you want to look at the leg of a woman, you can't look at it. It's nowhere to be seen, right? You just can't find it. You're in the haram sharif, right? Everyone is clothed, right? If you want to see someone's hair, right, a woman's hair, you can't see it. You don't have access. Women who don't wear hijab, right, out of their reverence for the haramain, when they go there, they start wearing hijab. No one tells them, right? Something from within. It's a matter of reverence that exists in the heart of a woman. So over there, you want access, you can't get access, right? You can't see those things. And in times past, right, before the internet, it's very hard, right, to see or access these type of, fetish-like fantasies. It was just an impossibility. But the internet made these things which were quote unquote impossible possible. Right? Extremely accessible. It's free, it's abundant, and it's accessible. Right? And it's private. It's like the perfect setup for shaitan. It's the perfect setup for shaitan. That's the reality of the internet. And fine, okay, and there's people are at different levels. Some people are addicted to pornography. And you even listen to American people's writings about the advantages and disadvantages of the internet. They talk about information and communication. They count these advantages. There's a whole different discussion. We won't go into that, right? I'm just talking about things which are flagrantly wrong that even a non-Muslim will agree to. About the disadvantages, even they write that they're defiling the healthy minds of the youth. Even the non-Muslims know it. Right? Even the non-Muslims know it. People who, you think have no moral compass, they realize that this is a dangerous thing. This is a dangerous thing. Why do people need the internet so badly? Right? There's three... so what I was saying is that even if you're not involved in pornography, then there's different levels. So I said, it has every type of sin, but I also said low and low. When you get to higher levels in spirituality, you can't waste a single minute of your time. And anything that distracts you from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you want to cut it out of your life. And the internet, what it does is, if you're like living in the level of halal, right, and you don't go to a single bad website, but you still waste your time in a state of heedlessness from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala azza wa jal. You're playing, trying to raise some type of virtual farm with some goats or something, and and this is what people spend hours of their life doing. And then they say, I don't have time to read 3 juz a day. Right? I don't have time to become an alim. If you were to take the amount of time that people spend in the last 5 years and put all of that in Islamic studies, people could have been hafiz and alim by now. perhaps, But it's just a matter of where people desire to invest their time. That's what I'm telling you. Mass destruction. Mass destruction. Why do people go to the internet? Right? And why are they so addicted? If you think about it, there's generally three main things which drive a person to the internet. Number one is boredom. Right? A person's bored. They have nothing to do, quote unquote. And this is an American malady, right? And this is something which just seems to be uniquely Western or something, or maybe it's slowly becoming an international phenomenon. But I find it so odd that if Allah exists and you as a slave exist, then how can you ever be bored? Right? It makes no sense to me. Right? Talk to Allah, read His Quran, right? Engage in dhikr. All these beautiful things, that this beautiful deen that Allah has created for us, right? Increase yourself in knowledge. It makes no sense when the righteous, they find that there's not enough hours in the day. When Aisha radiallahu anha, she would start praying, and then when she gets up like when she's finishing like 2 rakats, or when she's finishing her prayer, to the effect that the Fajr azan is going on, and then they would complain. The Sahaba, it would be like, "Ya Allah, you made the night so short that we don't have enough time to worship you." Right? So where's the time to get bored? Right? Where's the time to get bored? They say that, in the kanz of the 2 orphans whose treasure was underneath the wall that Khizr alayhi salam erected when it was about to fall off. There's different, advices. I don't know if this was exactly the thing, but the meaning at least is correct. But if Jannah is true, then why rest? Right? If Jannah is true, right, rest. This whole concept of being bored is actually a very deep disease, right? You need to cut it out. That's one reason, right? People get bored, and so they try to entertain themselves on the internet. Number 2 reason is that people feel this emptiness. It's sort of related to boredom. So they feel this emptiness, and they try to fill this emptiness by going and engaging in different type of activities on the internet, right? To dull out this voice of silence. And the third thing, and generally it's the biggest reason, often for men but also for women as well, is when they're overcome by desire. Right? It's an outlet for them, for their nafs to engage in looking at the opposite gender in unusual and aberrant manners. Right? So those are the 3 reasons. Now the funny thing is this, right? And listen closely. The funny thing is, if these are the 3 reasons that people go to the internet, the internet is something that will never satisfy any of these 3 things. Actually, it makes each one of these 3 things worse. If you're bored, you go on the internet, it will pacify you for 1 hour, 2 hours. But when you get used to the internet, as soon as you're off your internet, you're going to be more bored. You're going to be more bored. Your boredom is actually worse. Your nafs gets more and more spoiled until it's never happy. So much so that a person will be chatting for hours, and inside they'll just be feeling very uneasy and unsettled. Right? They feel like my time is going, but they're addicted, and their whole insides get messed up. Right? This emptiness, people think that if I will go to the internet, my emptiness will go away. You just dull it, right? It's like taking pain medication for a little while, and you have a gunshot wound in your leg. Right? It doesn't make the gunshot wound go away. Right? It just dulls the pain for a little while, and then the disease that you had actually just gets worse. That emptiness, that gnawing emptiness and loneliness that exists just gets worse. And the same thing applies to this shahwa, to this sensual or sexual desire that people have. The more you feed your nafs, the more it will want it. And that's why people start off from soft porn, then they go to hard porn, and then they go into the most, weird and unusual type of, viewing the most unusual type of activities for hours on end. Right? For hours on end. It's ajib. They look at, it doesn't even behoove us to mention the type of things that people look at.